Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa. This is Rappler Talk, and joining us tonight is a man I'm looking forward to speaking with. Seen him in different incarnations, and now he is the Department of Trade and Industry Secretary, Ramon Lopez. Thank you for joining us, Ramon.
Thank you, Maria. Great to see you again.
It's good to see you, and it is an amazing time. You're caught in so many things. What is driving your leadership at DTI?
Definitely in the DTI, first, I'm fortunate to have a department that's really run well by professionals. I mean, they're technocrats, and they're really also as passionate as in promoting their respective fields in SME, in investment promotion, industry development, trade policies, and trade negotiations. So these are I would say top-notch technocrats, and that's the reason why many of them I kept. I didn't replace them because they know the system and they know how it works and they know how to deal outside with different countries. But I guess what I'm bringing into is a kind of experience that is I'd say more innovation-oriented kind of dimension that I want to push in terms of our policies, our industrial development policies, a more inclusive type of development that I'm also pushing for. As you know, it came from a background that's promoting, advocating entrepreneurship and micro SME development. And therefore, it's been a passion really to me that to be able to reach a kind of inclusive growth, you have to empower the bottom of the pyramid and you empower the entire nation, because 99.6% of micro SMEs, and they account for about 70% of employment, but they only contribute 35% of GVA, or gross value added. So compared to developed economies, the range would be about 50 to 55% contribution to economy. That means that there is higher value added contributed by micro SMEs. And that means also that for MSMEs to have higher value added, you have to have value adding products. In other words, not the minimal transformation, but really innovative, design oriented. Higher value simply means high. It's like a higher price higher value proposition that you offer to consumers, and they are willing to pay a lot more on the same functionality.
So
that's
if
the
you're
kind
talking
of
about
intervention.
the evolution of an economy, it's shifting from a services kind of orientation, manufacturing to services, right? Services to a creative economy.
A creative, but in this case, we're not saying goodbye to manufacturing. What's happening simply is you have to revive manufacturing and make them really innovative as well. Because the only way to survive in any business is to have that innovation culture and have a resurgence of manufacturing. So any development evolution is really manufacturing that will turn into services. But in our case, we should not forget manufacturing, because they are also a great provider, a great source of employment. And therefore, you have to create a competitive, job-generating, and innovative manufacturing sector. Good thing is that because of recent policy improvement and support to manufacturing, our manufacturing sector growth has really gone to the level of 7 to 8% growth year on year, compared to 2 to 3% a few years ago.
Overall, though, manufacturing only accounts for about 33% of our...
Yes, about 30, less than 30%.
Less than 30%. And then we're talking that a big chunk of it with services sector.
Correct.
So your transformation, when you're talking about change,
yes, it has to grow. Manufacturing has again to grow back to over 30% as a share to GDP. Still a big part of our economy would be agriculture. So that's another sector of economy that has to, again, leapfrog in terms of more technology in it, greater value added. We're now talking of linking agriculture with industry and manufacturing, processing more of the agriculture products that will add value to these commodities, to these products. So we're not talking of just selling, let's say, a banana, but really a processed banana chips or snacks or innovative products. In the end, it goes back to creativity and innovativeness that will really drive up the value proposition.
So it sounds like you're collapsing two things. Indonesia, for example, in the last administration, they were bringing in creative industries because they felt like they were digging up things. They were the raw industry.
Exactly.
And yet the people who would be making more money would be the Ralph Lauren's who would
The processors,
bring in,
yes.
right,
Yes,
who would
the
bring in and
manufacturing.
process it, right?
Yes.
So that would be the creative economy that you bring
Yes.
in, plus technology.
Plus technology, of course, that will improve productivity and the way we do things in terms of processes and the kind of products that you produce. So you put in technology, you put in the dimension of better designs, you know, that will add value.
That's
For
very
example,
exciting.
you're in the t-shirts, furnitures,
Yes,
garments.
correct.
You don't just sell a white t-shirt. China will beat you to the cost that they have, but add some designs, different, you know, add a ikat or a bell accent to the shirt.
Right.
Immediately the value will be higher and the price will be
trademark.
higher, and the trademark, putting a
Yeah.
brand there, owning a brand adds is associated with a higher value, especially if you're a trusted brand. You pay an iPhone higher price than other brands out there, but essentially same functionalities and efficiencies because again of the brand value.
Right.
You attach something to that.
So you are very familiar with what small businesses, MSMEs, are up to. I mean, this is you spent your life doing this,
yes.
right?
It's
Building
been
this. 99.6% MSME, and you said you want to grow the value of this, right?
Make them smarter entrepreneurs.
Make them
basically.
smarter entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
How will you do that? What are the changes in order to do
Okay,
that?
the big changes is basically given the experience I have in being in business as well as advocating entrepreneurship. I've summarized it in a framework for MSME development, which is basically 7Ms into 7Ms. So the first three will have something to do with capacity building. So it has to change in mindset, the attitude, character, being creative, resourcefulness,
Yes.
continuous innovation, and all, and hardship, persistence, sipag, tiyaga, and all
Yes.
that. That's a kind of character. Integrity should be in there as well.
Yes.
No? And then number two, of course, is the how-to, mastery, competency. So competence is important to improve your probability of success. You should know the basics at least of
Yes.
entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Having a brand, better packaging,
Yes.
your unique selling proposition, differentiation so that you can answer the question, why will they buy from you?
Yes.
Bakit sa'yo bibili? Bakit brand mo at hindi yung brand ng iba? So that's differentiation is unique strength that one should have. If you have a product, you have a service, and you're in business. Number three, of course, is a mentoring program, and this is where we're tied up with experienced, big guys, successful entrepreneurs who will help the smaller entrepreneurs in their journey in entrepreneurship. So we do like mentoring tables or interventions such as mentoring projects in a particular conference and seminars. So the first three would be capacity building, and these are all available in like the 450 negosio centers that we have around the country.
Right.
We do seminars that go around the country, also tie up with the associations, Go Negosyo, PCCI,
Right.
AFI, PFA. So a lot of groups and other associations that will provide the mentoring. The fourth is really, the fourth M, it would be money, access to money. And this is where
That's
interventions such
right.
as microfund, easier
Yes.
access, replace the 5/6, and making funds collateral free, easy access, low interest rates, etc.
Yes. This is the biggest problem of MSMEs. isn't
Many
it? Funding.
MSMEs and funding.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, every time we have a workshop, before a workshop, they will say capitalization is critical. But after a workshop, they realize that, a business project idea, a big idea is the more challenging one. Because once you have a good idea,
Right.
your unique selling proposition and all that, your business model, funding will come in easily. Plus, one has to know that there is a lot of funds available.
Yes.
They just have to know where they can, source the funding.
Got it.
So there are funds available, but you have to have a good project, a project that will make your product patok,
Yeah.
sellable, marketable, that can because that translates to a positive financial model or positive cash flow
Fantastic.
that will allow you to pay back your loan, which
Right.
banks are looking for. So, or MFIs would be looking for. So money is important, but I guess the business model is more important. Next is once you have the product, of course. normally you know your target market, but how do I make my product have the exposure?
Yes.
You give them access to market, and this is one initiative I did is talking to the malls, our friends, the different owners there, and they immediately they like to support this government. They like to support micro SMEs. Immediately they are giving us like 40 square meters to 70 square meters space in because I asked for a mainstream high foot traffic part of the mall, because what we have before this administration, what we usually have would be trade fairs, and trade fairs would just be 3 days over the weekend. What I'm looking for is a mainstream, every day you're there, and where people go to, that's mall.
Yes.
Those are the malls, and then giving them that space, and there we will be able to feature competitive items of micro SMEs that are mall quality, or shall we say globally competitive. It can compete with the imported stuff that are found in the malls.
Correct.
As well. No? So that's the kind of level of SME products we will feature there, and SME products that have not yet entered the mall and not yet been exposed to the malls. Giving them exposure gives them the opportunity to be discovered by buyers who will buy in bulk and wholesale and bring it abroad for export. So tremendous exposure given to them for free.
Yes.
And why is it free? Again, very simple outsourcing idea. We have this franchise model that we developed. We call it Go Local. It's a store concept, pop-up store concept. I guess it's an initiative of our department. And then I lend it to any Robinson and SM and our friend City Mall, Rustan's, lend that concept store, put it in your place, and they run the operation. So I told them, the profit will be yours. Just give us the space, and we'll link you to the suppliers of these SME products, and you get to select which products you think would be sellable and would be marketable. So it becomes now a win-win solution. We just basically provided the business model. So again, this initiative will hopefully make it really sustainable. And I just asked them, please just donate 10% of income to rehabilitation program. That's the only thing. But all the profit, they can have it. I mean, they run the operation. So that's access to market. Access to market will also mean government procurement. So we encourage like community products like a cocoa choir, the coconuts. Now DPWH is buying coconuts from our community that does this, and it's a social enterprise, of course, but they have a ready market, like a government requirement for coconuts for infrastructure works. Last, market access, still on letter of market access, is the inclusive business, where you link a big business purchaser to buy a product of an MSME, making SME part of their value chain. So what does that mean? Even as basic as garlic and onions, linking them to the hypermarkets of SM and Robinson for a ready placement.
You get rid of friction in the value chain.
And the value chain, you get rid of traders that will only mark up the price. So that's market access. The 6M would be the machines or shared service facilities. This is simply like a common service facility that you give to a group of entrepreneurs, maybe a group of members of cooperative, and you give them like sewing machines, weaving machines, packaging, etc. All those machines that they cannot afford on an individual basis, but you give it to a group that will make use of them, and so it's a shared facility. Very important, and that's a program that really brings down costs for many of their operations. And then last but not the least is, of course, making available ready models of negosyo. Meaning, as we teach entrepreneurship, we tell them, you look for a big idea. But not all can develop a big idea. So you can't think of anything else yet. Why not try this first, just to get your feet wet and get in the business and have some livelihood? And so these are the basic.
This is like rocket.
The rocket, it could be a direct selling. It could be a simple how-to in baking, in whatever type of business, or even as basic as distributing P&G or Unilever products. They have ready packed product kits that you just sell. They'll give you that initial capital in products, and then you roll it over the cash will be yours, and you make profit out of it as an initial support to your to get you into business. So these are the 7 M's that for MSME development that we hope to really level up the entrepreneurship.
Fantastic.
That
These
way.
are all tremendous insight from your experiences with Go Negosyo.
Go
would you say?
Negosyo, yes,
And
yes.
now, what are the policy changes you need to make in order to make your vision a reality?
Yeah, definitely. That's where we have, for example, policy changes when it comes to, ease of doing business,
Yeah.
making sure that just on the basics of getting business permits, license, will be easy from like we managed to reduce already the number of days, the number of steps, the number of signatories.
This is so painful.
Like
yeah.
over 10 days to now 2 days, 3 days. Some can do it less than 1 day.
Great.
Like in 2 hours, 3 hours. Yes, example that I met also a mayor from Tarlac last night, and he was happy to relate to me that they are doing it in 2 hours. From application to an actual mayor's business permit license. So that's a good work. I mean, there are many areas here like Valenzuela City who can do it in 30 minutes as
Yeah.
well, because they are also automated. It's because that's the next item there is to automate this business permit licensing, and also the step that takes usually the longest time is getting fire permit, sanitation, and occupational permit. But we make them as a post-approval requirement,
Got it.
and so that they just get a provisional approval, and like in 30 days or 90 days they have to get those compliance or certificate. So things like this would be essential. There are also policies in place already, like allocating certain percentage of a bank lending fund to MSMEs.
Yes, yes.
So we are trying to improve also the guarantee system, wherein
Yes.
our SB Corporation will provide a guarantee to borrowers so that banks will lend more to them. I mean,
Right.
there's more willingness to lend because there's a guarantee provision. So these are the types of policy intervention.
Has anything surprised you once you came in as Secretary of Trade and Industry?
I don't know if this is a surprise, but somehow I was expecting that things will move faster, of course. And like as this project of Go Local, I've been wanting to launch it late last year,
Yeah.
before December for the Christmas holidays, but it took some time, I guess, because there are already some programs being run and using the same number of people, I guess, like the trade fairs that's happening
Correct.
almost every month. So people are sort of tied up. So for new projects, it's taking a little bit more of more time. I would have wanted that it would have been launched before December, but it's being launched this March. So it took some time. But we're opening in Robinson, I think, next week. In Manila, where the tourists are, where Filipino and regular mall goers do go, and so that will be our first Go Local in a mall setting and at the ground floor. So we'll invite you to in the opening.
Would love to see it. In terms
Yeah.
of ASEAN, this is
Okay.
the 50th year of
Yeah,
ASEAN,
yeah.
ASEAN integration.
Sure, yes.
A lot of ASEAN countries still have protectionist trade policies. I mean, how are you going to take advantage of that and then at the same time protect them?
Well, it's like this. Actually, in ASEAN, as you know, we are in an ASEAN economic community. Close to over 95 or over 96% have been actually liberalized in terms of low or zero tariff already. So, in fairness, the ASEAN guys, the members, 10 countries, are all trading almost everything freely. And yes, we are still just addressing some bits of non-tariff barriers
Correct.
that we're trying to bring down. That's a continuing progress, but generally speaking, I would say there's a much freer trade compared to 10, 20 years ago. And what the beauty of ASEAN now is its discussion to include other dialogue partners. And so we have this Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, that includes
Yes, correct.
basically
Familiar.
the China, Korea, and Japan, Australia, New Zealand, India, the 6 other countries, that will basically widen our market base from an ASEAN 620 million to, including those 6 countries, you have China and India there. Easily, that's 3.5 billion population. So from a 620 million to a 3.5 billion, that's one half of the world's population,
Yes.
and 1/3 of the world's economy already. So it's a huge opportunity for anyone locating, like in the Philippines, to have that kind of market access. That's why some of the people that are located in in other countries would prefer to locate in an ASEAN country like Philippines because they know it's a gateway to all this market.
Right.
So that's a beauty. And of course, I'm diverting a bit. When you look into the Philippines, that's the reason why we continue to attract investment. In the Philippines, about 75% of our exports to the U.S. enjoy the GSP privileges.
Right.
Two-thirds of our exports to EU enjoy also the GSP plus privileges. That means the tariff rates are zero, and therefore locating in the Philippines will allow them to have also easier access of products in those regions, or EU and as well as the US. So these are, I guess, part of the attraction. Not to mention the demographic dividend, a big consumer market here, good workforce that we have here. All these are attracting investments.
How are you dealing with the EU, for example, has threatened to take some of those the policies, the privileges away because of alleged human rights violations? Is this something that you...
No, we've been in discussion with them, and we're simply telling them, look, just continue to engage the Philippines. Otherwise, it gives us more reason to talk to other countries and create talk to other countries that are also bigger. The other thing is, of course, all this we are telling them, we're explaining to them that there is no EJK, there is no human rights violation because, as you know, the president has already, and even the police are mentioning that all these things happening, the killings are beyond them, beyond police works. They have explained that this could be a cleansing, and for the police guys, of course, they have to defend themselves. There are rules of engagement, and the government is clear that it does not sanction violence and killing unless they fight back. And if you look at the numbers, there's a lot more who surrendered peacefully. They are alive. They are not killed. There's maybe, I think, 70+ thousand that are drug lords and in the drug trade that have surrendered peacefully, and they're alive. There are 3 million plus users who admitted, and there's just about 3,000, 4,000 killings that again cannot be directly blamed to the police. And there are deaths under investigation that are also being investigated. So in terms of human rights, it has not yet been proven. Our appeal to them is, please don't jump to conclusion basing it on some newspaper reports out there. If you want, you have to conduct your own investigation. Plus, I guess, for example, they also mentioned the death penalty. Death penalty will still take time before the first guy to be put on the death row will happen. I'm sure there will still be a lot of challenges and legal challenges to it, and for all we know, that will be beyond after 10 years before that can take into effect and before one is charged. So it's so difficult just to decide. I mean, for them to remove it and and to based on something that's not yet happening, but in the end, if ever they do it, then the position of the president, we will do what's good for the Filipino people. If we feel that even that accusation on EJK, human rights, at the end of the day, this drug campaign has brought down criminality by 30-40%. And that means, I think, if I remember the numbers, 5,500 in counts of crimes that did not happen this year, but it happened the previous year in terms of number. And that's huge. I mean, that could have been our loved ones. I mean, that did not take place. So that's very important. At the end of the day, you talk to the people. They feel safer. They go out in public transport. They bring out their cell phone. They're not afraid of hold-ups and being held up and all those criminality. So, yeah.
Let me go back to that after, but let's take first the good news. I mean, the FDIs, foreign direct investments, are up more than 40% at the end of last year.
We ended 7.9 billion, up 41%.
And that comes from
that
China,
comes from
or where does that
it's a combination. I think I remember Japan, U.S., China, Hong Kong, Singapore. They are all big sources of investments, but I think I compare it also even to the Board of Investment, which are investment pledges that applied with BOI. It's up also 20%. And that if you take the second half of last year, which when we entered and compared to the first half, that number is even and you take the foreign investment part versus the local, foreign investment is 20% of that. So foreign investment of second half is double the foreign investment of first half. The foreign investment of the second half is also 50% higher than the same period of the previous year. That means that all this concern about foreign investment not coming in, they're all driving, applying to the Philippines for, to enter the Philippine market, to invest in the Philippine market. So the foreign, the trust is there. I mean, that's why we're looking at the numbers. These are database, and we don't know where the concern is coming from.
So you're optimistic. I mean, the numbers that you're seeing are far better than they were before.
Far better, 41%. That's quite unheard of recently. And it just, again, no preference to China now, but I think that the good numbers are showing just from China alone also. Just this morning, we signed this $1.7 billion trade agreement. I'm sorry, it's a trade purchase, an actual purchase agreement. It's not a trade commitment. So it's a purchase, it's like a PO, purchase order, that is coming from different companies. So and then that's only because the Chinese market has really opened up for Philippine products. And of course, that's a result of the tremendous goodwill done by our president when he visited, of course, President Xi Jinping. We all visited China last year. After that, tourists started to come in. In the tourists alone, I think from 500,000, last year we ended 670,000. It's a big 30+% jump. And this year we're looking at 1 million. Again, that's just in January alone, we heard that it's 70% growth year on year. And again, because if you look at the tourism, first, tourism benefits SMEs, from van rentals to resort to the restaurants, the agri-produce that go there, and souvenirs and all that, SME oriented. So, and the nice thing, in the tourists, China, out of that 500,000, their total tourists is about 100 million, and only 500,000 or now 670,000 going to the Philippines, and we're the nearest. We have so many beach and that very nice tourist places. So, and it's only because of some advisory before.
Yes.
But now they're all out, and people. I mean, right now of course it's the challenge now is how to build more hotel rooms and more transportation and logistics. And the good thing also, of course, with all this infrastructure development, it's creating the tourism infrastructure needed, the airport, the better roads and transport logistics. So we're very bullish on tourism. I mentioned the trade that's big opening up.
Correct.
A lot of infrastructure investments coming in.
Yes.
We met and we had a visit last week from the new commerce minister of China, who not only opened up this trade purchase agreement, they even donated $1 million to the Surigao rehabilitation. He mentioned about the $3.4 billion infrastructure grant that they are giving to the country. There's also a $10.7 billion business-to-business investment that will take place. Specific areas, iron and steel, oil, shipbuilding, the very concrete things happening already.
How do you deal with what's happening with DENR and the mining? Does that create repercussions that's hard for a trade industry?
Well, definitely it will threaten. It might scare away some investors if, in the end, we don't listen to the call for due process. I mean, the president has committed during the inauguration to honor all contracts, and of course, as in any any good business environment and investment environment, honoring contracts, stability in policy, giving due process would be important things. I mean, policy predictability are very important to investors. So we don't want to destroy that credibility, and therefore I mean, in this mining issue, our position really is we support all this environmental preservation and protection, but let's give due process. Investments have been made based on certain policies. Permits were obtained before.
Yes.
So you cannot simply just close down and not follow, not adhere to contract agreements. No? So there has to be due process. And if at all, if there are deficiencies based on audit, there has to be some curing period. I mean, like 6 months or whatever,
to give them
to give them the
chance,
time,
yeah,
the chance to comply to the standards.
Both of you and Gina Lopez were advocates, you know, coming into your role. I mean, what's
Yes.
the difference in your approach?
So
Sorry,
hard
I
to-
switched. I switched,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
on
no,
that,
no,
yeah,
no.
but I mean,
My only, of course, we know Secretary Gina very passionate, and
Yes. As are
I mean,
you.
and yes, and we're also passionate. But sometimes you have, maybe as a secretary, as a leader in a sector that has many stakeholders, you have to balance all these interests without losing your objective of, let's say in her case, ensuring environment protection and all that. But again, I will always follow due process and hear out the stakeholders. That's the way we handle even all this trade and tariff negotiation, for example, favoring the tariffs of protection for one sector can affect the user industry. So you have to find that healthy balance, no?
right. And you're dealing with a lot of changes right now in ending contracts, endo. So sorry, I'm
Endo,
switching
yeah.
to other
Sure,
things,
sure,
right?
sure.
I'd like to go into endo and
Sure,
then ask you about cars and some tax reform. In terms of endo, I mean, how are you going to handle this? It seems
Endo,
like
I
a
think
tough.
there's a clear agreement to stop endo, to end endo. But what is in the law and what we are trying to keep is the right, the flexibility for to get contractors in your operation, if that is the way to manage your costs. But again, our priority there is to still improve the security of tenure of workers. So what we're simply saying is it's a business model.
Yep.
Instead of hiring it regular in the principal company, hire regular in the contractor. Make them regular employees and permanent. Permanent is important because when you say it's not permanent, yes, you're regular, but when the contract between the two parties, contractor and principal company ends, normally they let go of the people in the contractor side. But in this case, when you say permanent, you're regular, and permanent means if that contract ends, your contractor should find another client to deploy you. If they cannot find you another client, maybe after 3 months, you put a period there, then you should be given separation pay, which is the second part of our improvement, making them permanent and giving them a separation pay or a retirement package as a mandatory requirement. And the key here is compliance.
Right.
Even the president understands this system, and when we presented to them to him before, he agrees with this system. He said, yes, sir, that just make sure the compliance is there. I mean, assuring permanence and separation pay, paying the workers right, etc. The president is a man who always just have the heart for the poor. I mean, just want them protected. So, but because what he was seeing before is that this agency thing is being abused by some agency owners. So he said that at the end of the day, the worker there will have so many deductions and will receive a smaller amount. Now, that should not be the case. What we're saying, and that what's being provided now is paying the right wage with separation pay and making them permanent. So that's our stand,
So
and that has to be in a department order to be issued by DOLE. The president simply remanded the DO to be reviewed further, consult with many sectors.
And the
so
reaction, yes.
DOLE, of course, has been consulting the labor sector, the management, DTI, and PCCI, and so they are in that process
This is
right
in
now.
motion now. And let me ask you about the tax reform, right? One of the things
Yeah.
everyone had looked for
Oh,
was
yeah,
exactly, will this government be independent and carry out an independent tax reform program that will bring the greatest good?
Yes, we believe and support the tax reform program being initiated by the Department of Finance, because that is really something that will correct and be more progressive, correct the tax structure, reducing the income tax rate of personal and corporate, again, will yield more net gain for the individual and the corporate to be plowed back either to investment, R&D, innovation. There'll be more fund for consumers. It will be more disposable income or investment for investment and savings. So the reduction is a big help. Of course, they have to get it from somewhere and simply rationalize the other tax structure. And for example, the excise tax, we're often asked about automotive.
Yes. Well,
That's part of,
yes,
I guess,
exactly.
one of the, you're leading to that question.
Definitely.
So obviously the excise tax is our concern there, since we have the automotive resurgence program. We've been in touch with the DOF, and the good thing is, of course, DTI, DOF, we have been talking, and they've adjusted the kind of structure that will preserve that will make it still consistent with the CARS program, let's say, of the DTI. Of course, the first draft was something else, and
Yes.
that's why we had to give our position. And of course, in all these reforms, adjustments have been made so that it won't be inconsistent with the other programs in other agencies.
Correct.
So, so the bottom line is that for cheaper cars, and especially cars that will be produced here,
Right.
there will be a minimal change
Right.
in the effective tax rate and the effective price change. So that is in the current and the latest drafts. That's why when we saw it, we are giving a full support already to the tax reform program.
So most of it will be borne by luxury car
Luxury
taxes, right?
cars,
So that
yes,
can be,
and to which on which prices are, and the owners are supposed to be not too price sensitive, because they should be able to afford.
4 million.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Did you have industry consultations with the car?
Yeah. There has been
excise tax?
continuing
Okay.
consultation with them. We work closely with them, and sometimes they may still have other propositions, but to the DTI, it will adopt the more reasonable and acceptable, I guess, structure that we believe in, that is workable already, and we give it to the DOF. I think right now they still have some requests, but I don't know if they were already convinced with the kind of more reasonable structure that we've done.
So you think you found the balance between the car tax and then giving the
Yes.
incentives to manufacturers to
Those
continue
manufacturing
growing?
here,
Right.
those being manufactured here,
Right.
yes, because many of the cars, like in the upper end, are not manufactured here
Correct.
anyway. So
I
it's not
see,
creating
I see.
employment. So and the buyers there anyway are not supposed to be price sensitive. So
Got it. As we pivoted to China, so I'll shift back
Sure,
to, as
sure.
we pivoted to China, a lot of U.S. firms became nervous, right?
Yeah.
Some of the BPOs, for example, the American ones,
and they
have
should
held
not,
off.
and they should not be, because
That's the question.
and you know, when that was happening,
Yeah.
some, of course, they were a bit nervous, and of course we had to explain to them that this pivot to China does not mean we'll forget the other guys in the West, no.
Correct.
And as they know, is again going back to we always, to understand the president, you just have to understand that again he's sincere in serving the people. What's good for the Filipino? If investment is good for the Filipinos because it creates jobs, definitely he won't scare away investors, even coming from EU, even coming from US, and even coming from China.
Right.
So we invite everyone. We are supposed to be friends to all, especially if you're doing good for the country. But if you fight us and you criticize a program that is supposed to benefit the Filipino people, then you'll probably get a nasty remark, a nasty reply. But if you are in support of all these reforms, and if you're in support of anything that will benefit the Filipino people, you'll be our friends. And as President says in all these presidential visits, especially when he meets all these leaders, the first question, how can we help you, Mr. President? And I mean, we're here, we're friends, and the president immediately reacts in the most humble way. He will bow and he will say, "You're more than a brother. You're more than a friend, and you're like a brother, etc." So it's a different Duterte, President Duterte you're seeing, and when he's with friends, and because if he sees that the other parties are really helping Filipinos, oh, you'll get the best of friends with our
Fantastic.
leader. Yeah.
My last question concerns your challenges, right? I mean, we've seen the peso go down. What are the challenges you see, and how are you going to deal with them?
Of course, budget. Budget might be. We need more, like for example, budget for the shared service equipment, shared service facilities, so that
Yeah.
we can really empower more communities.
Yes, yes.
Be more productive. We need, for example, a bigger budget for investment. No, not investment. Product promotion, industry promotion, like this big exhibits that we do in other countries,
Yes.
so that our products will get to be known.
The trade fairs.
The trade
Yeah,
fairs,
yeah.
exhibits. So we need some budget for that. I guess in terms of we need to create also, and this is really a program. I mean that we're trying to do now is the creating an innovation ecosystem. I mean that's one challenge that we're mounting, and with the help of our friends Dado Banatao and his innovative and R&D oriented team is helping us create the ecosystem, the academe, R&D institutions, other technology institutions that can really help our industry in general. We said that at the start, we said we want to create innovative, inclusive businesses. We say innovative, that would mean really making even the big and even the small companies really think innovation always. We have the OSD that will do the R&D, the research work, the inventions, but DTI's role is to make sure that these innovations are applied in
Correct.
all strata. I mean, the big, the small, the medium in industries. Make them really innovative. So that's the task. We have to create that ecosystem that will inculcate an innovation mindset to all the industry, all players.
So I want to take that because just yesterday DICT actually said that 48% of employees in the Philippines could be affected by automation. I think he was talking about the
Maybe AI.
AI,
they say
robots. I
but
guess it would be
yeah,
6 million.
it
It's
will,
agriculture and manufacturing.
Yeah, it will take time. There was also an example given before that when the ATM would
Yes,
be
that's
introduced,
right.
there will be less employees in the banks. And where are the
Of course
employees
you would
now?
remember this. Yes.
Yeah, then the banks there are more people in the banks
Right,
also now.
right.
So it's just what happens is that the nature of job will change. It will be probably more thinking, more designing, more solution oriented kind of work. Let the repetitious job be done by other guys or other things. No, so the nature will change, the nature of jobs. And as we speak also, even when we attended this World Economic Forum, and there was a forum that is on the future of manufacturing, the realities of AI, 3D printing, and robotics were discussed. But it was also realized that in several economies, there are still parts of the economies that will be probably AI-driven and robotics. But you still have a lot of labor-intensive activities. Somebody still got to produce something, and the one that will require human intelligence and dexterity of the hands. Those things are still needed in an economy. So I think that's quite hard to replace, and definitely it will just be a change in the nature of job. Maybe more thinking jobs and business modeling, disruptive technologies. These are the future, I guess. That will only change. So the 48% probably that the secretary cited is if you don't do anything else. I mean, that might be the eventual impact, but definitely people will look for other things to do. And
Are you targeting other high-profile investments that come from tech companies,
Oh, yeah.
or
Yes.
Are you looking to bring
Yeah.
anything high-profile into the
Yeah,
Philippines?
yeah.
You want to give us a hint?
No, just look at the Sogo Socials in Japan that we talked to 2 weeks ago when we had that investment mission.
Yes.
Immediately, the big guys there, the high-profile one, of course, just the Sogo Socials, you're talking of
Yes.
the Mitsubishi, Itochu, and Toyota, etc. They're Marubeni, and they're all committing almost 200 billion pesos in the coming months for the Philippines. I mean, they did not specify each because we were all together. They want to give individual numbers, but After that, our commercial attaché totaled their individual commitments separately, and when they totaled, it amounted to over 2 billion, oh, about 200 billion pesos. Not to mention the big guys, Chuneishi, Ichigo, which does this prefab construction materials
Right.
and export to Japan. They are already in the country. They employ 20,000. They will employ 20,000 more. Even Minebea, it's a Japanese company that does the optical image stabilizer. They're employing also 20,000 in different parts of Batangas, Cebu, and Bataan. And they are expanding again for another 20,000 kind of jobs. So these are big investments. Just on the three companies that met me, Chuneishi, Ichigo, and another company, they committed already for about 14 billion pesos and in 2 days that I was there, so plus the Sogo Socials. These are big investments committed to come in. Actually, they're already here and they're simply expanding. We're also, of course, waiting for other guys who are located in other countries that have probably no GSP or privileges in other countries. Locating in the Philippines will give them that access for GSP privileges.
So your last thoughts, Secretary Lopez?
Well, last thoughts is that it's the Philippines is really on the verge of a breakout. I mean, we've been growing 6.8 and expecting 7 to 8% kind of growth. Manufacturing is resurging, 8% growth. We're really on a breakout. My appeal really to our countrymen is everyone should just take and look at these positive opportunities, and everyone should be able to ride on it. I mean, be part of the growth. And before, other guys will ride on it and you'll be left behind. I mean, sa Tagalog, we call it, wag maiwan sa pansitan, no? Yung talaga, you have to act. If you want, success is for those who want it most. And we just encourage everyone to ride on this. As other guys, investors are trying to ride on our growth. So we are on a breakout, and it's happening already. We have a young population, so and less unemployment, 4.7 coming from 6.5%. So with that, more younger base, more employed, more income, bigger purchasing power, bigger consumer base that will run for many years because they're still young. No? So we have a growing economy, consumer base is growing, and the industrial sector is growing, agri will grow, and services. So my appeal is not to destroy the momentum. Let's not shoot ourselves in the foot. We should be together in just trying to contribute what you can. Be a positive and positive person, and if you can contribute anything, just be quiet.
Sorry, I can't let you go without the Forex, right? And
Forex.
Kind of what's going on globally, because we also have the United States shift. So this the peso depreciating, and then the changes in the world that would have an impact on the Philippines.
Okay, just quickly on the Forex. My thinking there really is, Forex, as long as it's what we call a gradually depreciating currency, it's really good for the economy. Why? First, just on the demand side, it creates more peso for every dollar in the wallet of an OFW family or a BPO dollar earner. So that and any exporter. So that would mean more funds for, again, either consumption or investment that will go around the economy. More peso, more purchases, consumer spending will be high, or investments and savings. Number two is that a slightly depreciated currency is a natural protection to the locally produced goods, because you make imports more expensive. In the same token, a depreciated peso also would mean more peso income for an exporter, a producer. So that gives them a better handle on their pricing. They can drop their dollar price and become more competitive in the market, because they can hit a certain level of peso pricing already. So it gives them the flexibility to lower their dollar price to make it more competitive, or keep it and pocket the bonanza, no? Have higher margin. So those are benefits of a depreciating economy. So it's not at all good. It will allow us and encourage more local content. Maybe use, instead of imported, you use more local content and you buy from a local producer.
But anyone with debt will also, with dollar
Oh,
debt,
definitely,
would be hit by it.
definitely. So you have to manage your finances very well. I mean, we know, and I came from a company that had some dollar exposure before, and that was the experience. So you really just have to be prudent in in managing your finances.
It's been so wonderful speaking with you, and I only promised you a short interview. But you know, for you, Mon Lopez, the man, your shift from being the head of Go Negosyo, from running Go Negosyo to now running DTI, and your transition, and what insights have you gained? How has it affected you?
You know, frankly, it's a different feeling when you're in service also. No? It gives you that, to me, it's a privilege to be of service. I know I'll just be here for a couple of months maybe, or years, or, you know, so it's a temporary thing, but it allows me at least, I can say that even just for a few months or years, I was able to serve, and when eventually all of us will be back in the private sector. So it's for me a chance to be of service and just do my best. Before we were serving the country through a private sector initiative, so that is something that we can go back to easily. And it's just, I guess, an honor also to serve the country and to be under a leadership who I believe is sincere. And that's different. I believe in the leader that we have, very sincere in only looking after the welfare of the Filipinos. So everyone, or maybe especially myself, I'm inspired. So because if you don't have that kind of leader, it's so hard to be inspired. No? so it's just, I guess, a time to serve, as I say, para sa bayan. Okay, so I hope I do well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
we've
much.
been speaking with the DTI, Department of Trade and Industry Secretary, Ramon Lopez. Send your questions. Thanks so much. I'm Maria Ressa. Stay tuned for the next Rappler Talk. Good night.